Hi, everybody. How you doing? I am Johan. That is Charleston. Joining us today from Atlanta, Georgia, we have a lady who, to me, is an inspiration. You'll get to know her. You can decide for yourself, but you'll see one thing. She has a beautiful smile. You'll see her right away. Dr. Hediya Nicole Green. Doctor.
Thank you,
I like the way he said that. Like he was just so like militant.
Obviously, it took me a few tries to be able to pronounce her first name, so that I was like, okay, I better get this right. Let's go through this slowly and do that. I'm sure I have a difficult name. I'm sure it's happened to you many times too, that people always, I've been called Joanne, Jonathan, everything. But anyway, Doctor, welcome to the show. We've been waiting a while to be able to have you on. I know we had some technical difficulties a while back, but this is one of the shows I can truly say for Charleston and myself is that we were so excited to be able to get you on. We're so happy for you here because of what you're doing, and we're going to try and educate our viewers as much as possible. But the biggest thing is that everybody in their life has had a run-in with cancer. And you are one of the leading personalities, I guess you can say, in the States, the leading educators, leading doctors that are going out there trying to make a difference. And you have come up with a way to cure cancer in mice. And now we're looking to make it to the next step. But let's get to know a little bit about you before and talk about how the heck did you get into this? Tell us a little bit about yourself, about the beautiful smile, and how you started.
So first, let me say thank you, Johan. Thank you, Charleston. I'm very excited to be here. Thank you for having me. My journey is a very untraditional one. I'm actually the unlikely story who has been able to turn lemons into lemonade. I was born and raised in St. Louis. My biological mom passed when I was 18 months. I didn't know my father. My grandparents took my two brothers and I in, but they both passed in the same year when I was 4 years old. My aunt and uncle, my mother's sister, who was 21 years older than my mom, so she was old enough to be my grandmother, and she had already had and raised 8 children. She took my brothers and I in. So I became child number 11 when I was 4 years old, and she became basically the only mom I knew. And she and my uncle provided the best they could for us. And my brother, who was 5 years older than I, he was the one who made learning exciting. And he used to have me doing his homework when I was in kindergarten and he was in 4th grade. He thought it was exciting to have me do his 4th grade homework. Well, it turns out that he ended up repeating the 4th grade, and I became the first in the family to go to college. So in high school, I was class president all 4 years. I was a cheerleader. I was a cheerleader and co-captain for football and basketball. I was in the recycling club and the debate team and the poetry club. I did a bunch of different extracurricular activities. I was class president all 4 years in high school. And when I went to college, I went on a full academic scholarship to a historically Black university called Alabama A&M University. Go Bulldogs!
Okay. Represent. Put it out there.
And actually, my college roommate, Charleston, is from your hometown.
Saginaw.
Saginaw.
Nasty, right?
Sag nasty. You know what? I like this.
That's one of the many things. I've never been to Saginaw, but everybody keeps on going, Sag Nasty. I'm like, oh man, I gotta go.
Yeah, I wish it would say, there's a lot of wonderful things to go see in Saginaw, but I don't know, man. It's not like it used to be. It's a pretty sketch place right now. So, but it is what it is.
Yeah, but home is home. And we actually went home for like Thanksgiving or Christmas, one of the holiday breaks. We just took a road trip and went to visit her parents. And I don't even know if we left the house the whole time we were there.
Really? For safety reasons, or just because you're having so much fun with the family, or?
I think because there really weren't many attractions in Saginaw.
See, that's what I'm saying. I mean, the highlight of Saginaw might be Ojibwe Island.
Which is what?
Just a little island. Just
Okay.
like a little island on the river, and you can ride around and go in a circle and then come back. But I haven't been back in Saginaw in a very long time, so I don't even know if it exists anymore.
Okay. Fair enough. Fair enough. So, when I was in college, I had some really amazing opportunities and experiences. I interned at NASA, University of Rochester, Institute of Optics. And what happened, I'll say, because it's not that I started off saying I want to be one of the first Black women to get a PhD in physics. What happened was my brother made me really good in math and problem solving. So that came easy for me because it was fun, and I didn't mind the time that it would take for me to sit down and solve a problem or solve a puzzle. And my freshman year in college, I was taking a calculus class, and there was this lady who was working on her PhD in physics at the time. Her name is now Dr. Aisha Fields, and at the time she was a PhD student, and she saw me coming out of the calculus class, and she said, who are you? You must be really smart if you can take calculus as a freshman. And I'm like, smart? No, I don't know about smart. I have really good study habits. And so she says, well, if you're smart enough to take calculus as a freshman, I bet you can major in physics. And I'm thinking, you're crazy. Everybody knows physics is hard, right?
Yeah.
Like, everybody knows physics is hard. Like, do I look like Albert Einstein to you? And so,
I just know how many times I failed calculus.
I was smart enough to not take it in university, so I stayed away.
Man, I tried to take that a couple of times, and it was epic fails every single time. And I was like, you know what? I'm good with numbers, but it wasn't made for me.
And I can't explain how I did well. I can't explain it. It literally is divine intervention, and I have to give God the credit for that because I can't explain it. So she challenged me to become a physics major, and I ended up graduating with a 4.0 in GPA, a grade point average. And it's like, to be from my background with no parents, no grandparents, and the first in my family to go to college, to graduating with no student loans because of the full scholarship, and to do so with the 4.0 grade point average is unheard of.
Yeah.
And the icing on the cake was that my senior year, I was elected by my peers who took time to do a makeover and taught me how to wear makeup and wear high heels and things. But they elected me as queen for a year, and I served as Miss Alabama A&M University.
You got the wave. She's got the wave.
She's working on the wave.
Wow. The beauty and the brains. Wow, that's impressive. Good for you.
So I had this amazing experience at my HBCU, and my family all came down. It was a huge celebration. And then the day after, my aunt who raised me announced that she had cancer. And she said that she would rather die than experience the side effects of chemotherapy and radiation. And I was her primary caregiver the last 3 months of her life. And I watched her go from being the matriarch of our family, the cooker of Christmas and Thanksgiving dinner, to someone who couldn't walk, who couldn't talk, even get out of bed anymore.
And how old were you when that happened?
I was 22 years old. I had just graduated from college, and it was devastating, guys. It was so heart-wrenching. And listening to her last sounds when all she can do was moan and grunt, it was heartbreaking in a way that my words are inadequate to describe. And 3 months later, she passed away. 3 months after that, my uncle who raised me was diagnosed with cancer. He opted in for chemo and radiation, and he suffered tremendously with the side effects. He lost 150 pounds, all of his hair, all of his eyelashes, all of his eyebrows. He had uncontrollable diarrhea. When I say it was devastating to see the horrors of cancer and the horrors of cancer treatment, I said, there has to be a better way. And I literally dedicated my life to this fight so that we can stop losing. And I knew I couldn't save my loved ones, but I fight so that other people's families don't have to be devastated the way my family was. So I had interned at NASA and University of Rochester, and I had this 4.0 grade point average in physics. And I was planning on revolutionizing the way we receive cable and internet. And then when cancer came to my family's doorstep, I had this idea that if a satellite in outer space could tell whether a dime on the ground is face up or face down, or a cell phone can call anywhere on the planet and target just one cell phone, why can't we have a cancer treatment that treats the tumor at the site of the tumor instead of all of these devastating side effects? And no one should have to choose between side effects and life. No one should have to choose between suffering and living. No one should have to fear a cancer diagnosis in the age when you have a whole supercomputer in the palm of your hand, in your purse, or your pocket. It's like the technology and cell phones have gone into light years into the future, and the technology of cancer treatment, it feels like it was still back in the dark ages. And so I started looking at, the inventors of the X-ray machine and the inventors of the MRI. These were the same people who had this physics degree that I didn't know exactly what I was going to do with. And it just seems like divine intervention that this little motherless, fatherless child from the middle of nowhere in the country in St. Louis that's not on the global map would come and bring forth this technology using laser activated nanoparticles. And most people in my family who didn't go to college, most people don't even know what a nanoparticle is. And to be able to take this and harness this technology and use it to kill cancer after one treatment over the course of 15 days with no observable side effects, no chemo, no radiation, no surgery, and relatively speaking, no suffering. So we're talking about something completely breakthrough. And I wish I could say that this was all some easy journey and it came with no tears and I did it all in a day. But it's been, I just turned 40 this year. And turning 40 was emotional for me because I literally have plugged away and chugged away and plugged and chugged. And I've been working this thing. And one of the things that was important to me is to ensure that the technology was affordable and accessible. So I started a nonprofit named after my late aunt, the Ora Lee Smith Cancer Research Foundation, to raise the money that we need to begin human trials to keep this technology affordable and accessible for all. So that's what I've been working on. I'm now, as I mentioned, one of the first African-American females to get a PhD in physics. I trained for 5 years at one of the cancer centers here in the U.S. and a year in the Department of Pathology. And I'm really excited about where we're going, being independent of the pharmaceutical industry so we can determine our own destiny and set our own prices and usher in a new era of cancer charities and a new era of affordable health care. And all because I didn't have any student loans and the audacity to think outside of the box and say, I can put it all on the line for something way bigger than me. And when it was like cancer took almost everything that I had, and I had the freedom to put my whole life into this and sacrifice so much to be able to be on the forefront of this revolution and this movement.
Yeah, that's amazing. I want to get into one of the things you just stated on there on what is the difference on how you're trying to be able to fundraise and to be able to do this rather than, I'm sure some people have come to you with a way that they said that, they'll give you money, but let's do it as a profit. Let's do it as a way to be able to, both of us can benefit that way. How are you?
Yeah, I just hate to even thought of that.
I know.
Just because
and
you're trying to save people's lives and then
Exactly.
trying to make it a for-profit business, which government probably will do something like that. And I know I'm 100% a conspiracy theorist when it comes to that. And when it comes to okay, you have this invention, you have something that actually works, something that's been proven, why wouldn't somebody bag you on that? Why wouldn't the country bag you on that? It's because, a lot of people think that, all right, the government's going to hold you back. And do you ever think like that? The government's going to hold you back, and they don't want you to cure it.
Because and I'll jump in and I'll say one thing, too, because I know that I've heard on some of your previous shows that have said that if you were of a different color, if you were a white man who just turned 40, you would have funding already for your $10 million goal. Right? Like, and that's amazing as is to be able to think about that process. But let's ask this first question is, how are you different in the way that you're non-for-profit versus people coming to you and saying, hey, I want to take your idea and let's make profit off of other people's illnesses and pain?
Yes. So you guys said a lot there. So so let's make sure we come back and answer all of those questions, because those are all great questions. But I won't remember all of them. That's the downside of my brain. I'm excellent as problem, and I'm not excellent with remembering.
Sure, too, right? No problem.
Oh, don't worry. I can't remember nothing either. I got too many hits to the head on the field.
So the traditional route, what happens, and a lot of people don't understand this or don't really know it, so I'm glad that you asked. Typically, an inventor invents something, and usually their employer, the university or the company they work for, they own it, not the inventor. And in some cases, the institution where they work will release the technology back to the inventor, and then they're expected to go to investors to find funding. And if they find an investor, they get the money they need, they can go to market, but the investor usually takes so much ownership over their company that by the time they raise enough money to do something with it, they own such a small percentage of the company that they did all of this work for nothing. So one of the things that is part of my personality, maybe as the youngest in my family, the baby girl, I always ask a bunch of questions. Well, how does this work? And what happened when you did this? And, why this and why that? And I'm the epitome of the little sister, right? And so I'm always like, can I learn from your mistakes so I don't have to make them? So all of my mentors and every professor at my college where I developed the technology, I talked to everyone I could find who had ever developed something, including the guy who invented the Super Soaker. And all of them had these horror stories working with investors and business guys who would come in and take over. And the business guys would get rich. The investors would get rich. The inventor would stay poor. And a lot of it was because they didn't take business classes or develop any business skills, which I have now done. They also didn't have good negotiation skills. They didn't seek attorneys. They didn't get the intellectual property protected, which I've done those things as well. And what happens, their percentage of ownership kept getting diluted. And by the time it got to the market, they were all of the inventors had such a small percentage of ownership of their company, they didn't have a vote and they didn't make the money. And so I said, well, if I'm going to take a vow of poverty for this as an inventor through the for-profit, I can take a vow, I'm not saying of poverty, but I can take a vow of making sure that this technology is going to be affordable instead of exploiting sick cancer patients and helping rich guys get richer. It's like, no, I want to make sure that people in my own family can even afford the technology. And shame on me if I'm being chosen to make a new way for poor people to have access to affordable health care, and I get greedy because I'm looking at a payday. And I have had conversations with investors that will say, oh, I'll give you this first $10 million for 40% equity or 60% equity. Or this one guy wanted to tell me, oh, I'll get 40% and I'll go raise the money that you need. And I'll bring in my friend who's an attorney and he needs 20%. I'm like, so before we even get to getting any money, you guys together will have 60% of my company, and we haven't even brought an investor to the table. And I'm like, you know what? I don't know what is written on my forehead in letters that you can see, but But people always assume because my voice is a little bit higher, or I'm a little bit younger, or because I'm a woman. And it's you guys stereotypically know how used car salesmen are when they see a woman come on the dealership on the lot to buy a used car. Have you guys?
Oh yeah.
They assume that this woman, and this is just my take, they assume that the women won't know anything about cars, that that they can probably get a higher price for it, right? And they can kind of pull the shade over their eyes, right?
Right.
And
That's my exact experience every time I talk to an investor. So when I was doing this, when I first was trying to figure out how to go from the laboratory into humans with this technology, I was having the experience like I was talking to a used car salesman. And one of the things that the men in my family would tell me when I was going off to college and trying to buy cars, they were like, pop the hood, turn the car on while the salesman is talking, because you know he's going to talk your ear off. If anything starts smoking, walk away. And so I've taken that same wisdom when I was at first I was exploring those options, thinking maybe I can negotiate better, maybe I can get a fair shake. But every time I start having the conversation and I'm just sitting there listening, they assume because I'm quiet that I don't have a clue of what's going on. And every time they say some of the worst things. And I've had some of the worst experiences. And I said, you know what? I started looking at, okay, if this is not an option, where else can I raise $10 million to get started? Where else can I raise $100 million to get finished? Who's raising this kind of money on the planet? And I started seeing, cancer charities. These cancer nonprofits are raising hundreds of millions of dollars a year in the name of curing cancer. Every year. With no cure to show for it. No pink cure, no American cure, no Armstrong cure. Like there's no stand-up cure. Like they're raising literally over $1 billion amongst these major cancer charities.
Right. And that goes right back to what I said about are people even trying to find a cure for this?
So here is my thing. So I started looking at who's getting funding, and college professors are getting funding from the government to do cancer research. And very few are, but it happens. So I said, well, let me apply for some of this funding. Let me become a college professor. So I have, and I'm a member of the American Association for Cancer Research. So I'm in the academic lane to do this space safely, to do this kind of research safely.
Yeah.
And every time I see someone who's in the space, I'll talk to them. So I talked with the female scientist who discovered the gene that can predict if you may have a predisposition for breast cancer. The one that Jolie, what's her name? The actress named Jolie. Angelina Jolie. Thank you. Yeah, Angelina Jolie. The science behind what caused her to get her mastectomy, because she saw that she had that genetic background in her family. She went ahead and got the double mastectomy based on this scientist's research. So I met that scientist and she said, well, if you stay within the academic space and you do research and you develop technologies, you can get funding from the government. It's all in how you position yourself. But if you don't get the credentials and you don't have the academic affiliation, which I do have an academic affiliation at a medical school here in Atlanta, Georgia. But if you don't have that and you go in your backyard and say that you developed something in your backyard or in your garage and you want to go to the media and claim to have cured cancer, then you start getting backlash. So I said, okay, let me get my strategy. I became a college professor, got my credentials. I'm at a medical school. I'm part of the American Association for Cancer Researchers. I've developed a technology, not a new herbal intervention or some concoction that hasn't been scientifically validated. I've gone through the scientific process and I've done all of that. And I've actually won a $1.1 million grant from the government. So I'm not getting any pushback from the government. I'm not intending to disrupt the pharmaceutical industry. And I say in almost every interview, I'm not competing with the pharmaceutical industry. I actually want to take some of the nearly 9 million people a year who are dying from cancer and try to save their lives. Because every year there are nearly 9 million people who are dying from cancer worldwide, even with the best of the pharmaceutical interventions, even with the best of alternative medicine. So we want to go after.
You said 9 million people are dying from all the cancers a year?
Yes, around the world, yes. And the Centers for Disease Control just released this last week or the week before that heart disease is still number one. Mm-hmm. Cancer is number two, then COVID. COVID is the third leading cause of death right now.
Wow.
Cancer is the second. So cancer is still beating COVID.
Wow. Well, yeah. We want to get into so much more. We're going to take a commercial break, but then we're going to get into...
But I want to keep listening.
Yeah, you can. Just hold on. We're going to get into so much more, and we're going to talk about, I know my life has changed from cancer in 2005. On July 15th, my life changed drastically with my son. But we're going to get into a lot more about how the nanoparticles and the technology, and how the doctor is looking to be able to work to get this figured out, how we can help you accomplish those goals, and we're going to get into a lot more right after this break.
Hi, my name is Rob Peterson. I'm the broker owner of Realty One in Regina. Real estate and life is about great people, and that's why I'm associated with Charleston Hughes and Johan Zielinski and IKS to sponsor the Better with Age podcast. Realty One was founded in Regina 11 years ago. It's an independent brokerage, it's local, and it's full of great people helping great local Regina people buy and sell properties. It's entrepreneurial based, which means you have non-narcissistic agents that have your best interest in mind, not their own. In these coronavirus times, real estate market right now in Regina and Saskatchewan is thriving because people are thinking more local, they're not thinking about traveling because we can't, and that's driving our market. When you hire a realtor, no matter who it is, no matter what company, please interview them. Please make sure they're a good personal fit for you, because that's what this is all about. It's good people connecting themselves with someone that they know has their best interest in mind. And that's what the Realty One family does, and that's what a lot of agents in Regina do. But make sure you take your time and find the best fit for you and your family.
It's that time of year when divisions are decided, champions are crowned, and legends are born. Now, it's your turn to win big. You've heard the name just about everywhere, MyBookie. They're the industry's leading online sportsbook and casino, and it's not hard to understand why. With thousands of lines to bet on all your favorite sports, NFL, NBA, and college ball. Check, check, and check. MMA and soccer, they've got all the latest odds, period. Take advantage of MyBookie's prop builder and live in-game betting, where every single run, throw, and touchdown is another chance for you to put cash in your pocket. Visit their mobile-friendly website today and get your deposit matched halfway up to $1,000. Just use the promo code when you make your first deposit. The best part is they make it simple, with a variety of ways to deposit instantly, including credit card, bank transfer, Bitcoin, and more. Whether you're at home or on the go, on your laptop or on your phone, it's not too late to make your New Year's resolution a resolution to get paid. Bet, win, and get paid at MyBookie.
And we're back. Like I ever wanted to leave in the first place. I just wanted to sit here all day and just listen to you. All this story about... I heard you say earlier you were a recycle club, or the cyclist club?
I was in the recycling club.
What is a recycling club? What is that?
So back in the day before recycling was popular.
That's what I'm thinking. Like, nobody recycles in the States, like, especially back in the day. Recycling?
Yeah, so our recycling club was the first in our community to talk about recycling and trying to save the planet, and we would promote recycling. We would go around the school and collect things and organize and install the stations to recycle plastic, recycle cans, recycle paper, and we would collect the bins and take them to the recycling center every week. And we would volunteer to do that, and we were the recycling club.
That's the recycling club. Yeah. Wow.
So as a result, I still have a heart for the planet, and I'm really passionate about that. And when I'm speaking to young people, I always tell them, I'm working on curing cancer, but you guys could work on getting rid of the plastic mountains in the middle of the ocean, and figuring out ways to put those old plastic bottles through a 3D printer and make jewelry, or or new things, furniture or whatever. And you guys could be the next generation of using that to create some kind of like build houses from plastic bottles or something. Like, think outside of the box and figure out ways to save the planet. And science can do so much good. However, science is also responsible for so much bad too.
Yeah.
And these yeah.
Charleston's alarm is going off.
Sorry, guys.
He's a busy man.
You didn't hear me, right? You didn't hear me.
No, I definitely heard you. Oh man,
That's gonna get edited out, right?
Yeah.
No, we're just gonna leave that in there. Just let it flow. Sometimes you just gotta let it be natural.
Yeah.
At least you know right now that this is very natural.
Yeah. Let's talk about now cancer. Cancer for me affected me on, like I mentioned before the commercial, on July 15th, 2005. I got a phone call from my son's mother. We were split. I got a phone call saying that my son had been taken into the hospital in Saskatoon, which is about 2 hours north drive, right? So I got a phone call and saying that he was sick. He had flu-like condition, flu-like symptoms, and then all of a sudden he went to his family doctor, and family doctor said, no, there's something wrong. Go get his blood work checked out. Well, when they went to go get his blood work checked out at the main hospital in Saskatoon, they found that a normal person's white blood cell count is anywhere between 4 and 10,000. His was at 400,000. And so they had never seen levels that high. And they had to, again, do another blood test to be able to make sure that this was that they were correct with those numbers. And they ended up then telling his mom that, does he have a father? She said, yeah, but he lives 2 hours away. And they said, can you get him here? We need to speak with both of you right away. So, of course, when I got that phone call, that was the longest drive I've ever had to do. At night, I can tell you how I felt. It was just pure, I think, shock, not knowing what was going on. And I can't remember if my son's mother had told me about whether it was going to be cancer or not. But when I got to the hospital, the doctor said, okay, your son has leukemia. And we're going to, with your permission, ask and see if he can be administered a steroid to thin his blood and to start to be able to work the white blood cells down back to normal level count. But until that happens, he's got 48 hours to live. Well, not 48 hours. He's got 50-50 chance to live over the next 48 hours because his blood was so thick that 3 things could happen. It would be a heart failure, a kidney failure, or a brain aneurysm. And so when I found out about cancer in that regard to my son, who was 2 years and a month, it was a shock to me. That was the first time that I had to deal with cancer. Really, you always heard about it, but you never really... It never hit me. It never, maybe an extended family member had cancer and you go, okay, I'm sorry. And you'd hear the stories, but it never hit me until I got the firsthand experience of having to go through that with cancer. And it wasn't fun, and I wish it on no one, but I understand that it happens. And my son, very proud to say, he's a survivor, and he battled through those 48 hours. And he's, as Charles and Mateo He's a very educated, very smart, intelligent young man who loves to get down and dirty. And he's always asking Charleston, "Hey, can I help you with some of your work you're doing on the side?" "Oh, I'll come help Charleston. I can do that." He's now he's an inspiration to me, as well as my other son, Kyler. But cancer.
That's amazing. How old is he now?
He's 18. He's grade
Oh
12.
wow.
Yeah, he's graduating this year, so he's doing well. We're able to survive and get through that. But unfortunately, my best friend from high school, a few years later, his son got diagnosed with cancer, and it was a tumor in the brain. And 3 weeks after that diagnosis, they lost him. And it's one of those things that, cancer's always affected so many people in different ways. So when we hear your story, when I hear your story, and to do that, it's something that I want to learn more. I want to know more about how does this technology work? How are you working to be able to eliminate the tumors, whether that's in a prostate or you said your grandma had it. Woman's cancer, I believe I've heard.
Yeah, she referred to it as woman's cancer, and she didn't specify if it was cervical or ovarian, or she didn't specify because and her age group of women, they didn't talk about the details of your private parts.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was just woman's cancer, and we suspect either cervical or ovarian. Cancer.
So how does this work? How does your technology and the nano?
Yes. Okay, so that's a great question. So I started studying. So okay, let me back up a little bit. When my aunt and uncle both went through cancer, I prayed and asked God to show me the cure for cancer. So I started reading, and I'm like, well, maybe somebody else has already come up with this. So let me Google and do research and go to the library and find everybody who's ever claimed to cure cancer, all of the latest advances from when then President Richard Nixon declared the war against cancer, and what's happened since then, the politics, the research, the advances, the breakthroughs. What's working, what's not, why is it not working, and understanding what's going on with chemo and why were there so many side effects. And because the chemotherapeutic drugs are based on one branch of the science tree, when there are other branches on the tree and other trees in the forest, that was just one approach. And some guys who were really smart said this was the way. The whole country and the world followed that path out to the end of the branch, thinking putting more effort and more money behind this one approach would make it better, when I would offer that the science behind chemotherapy may have not been the best science, that may not have been the best branch on the tree. So there are other approaches that are physical approaches, like and let me say, the reason why chemotherapy has so many different side effects is because the part that's causing the cancer cell to die, those same characteristics are also present on healthy cells. So you're targeting some biomarker on these cells, but healthy cells have these same biomarkers. So the drug doesn't know how to discriminate. And then there were other local therapies like cryotherapies and laser ablations and ultrasound ablations, where you can focus the treatment, and it's a physical intervention where you're freezing it to death, or you're zapping it to death, or you're heating it up. And so I looked at those approaches and said, oh, well, maybe if you put a little more money up, a little more effort into some of these approaches, they may be more effective for local tumors. And then I just happened to stumble across this concept that people have been struggling with, and they had really abandoned this idea of using lasers to treat cancer. And I'm saying, well, lasers can cut through metal, and they can, penetrate up to 10 centimeters in the body, and they can, you can use them for dental work, and you can use lasers for all of these things. But I literally had the idea, I woke up with it, like, we need something to make the lasers stop. at the tumor. So it's not just going straight through and it doesn't know how to discriminate. We need something to make the tumor distinguishable and identifiable to the laser, so it knows this is normal skin or normal cells, this is cancerous cells, and these are normal cells.
Okay.
So the nanoparticles serve as the way to interact with the laser. So let me explain it like this. The nanoparticles that I designed them in a way where they are completely harmless. They're made out of gold, which is inert. They're invisible to the naked eye, and they are completely harmless by themselves. And I saw that there are certain lasers. If you get a more powerful laser, it can kill anything, but it doesn't discriminate. It kills everything on its path. But how do you get a laser that's invisible to everything on its path? So you have to use a lower power laser and then put something for it to interact with, which would be the nanoparticles. So the laser that I'm using is lower power than a laser pointer. Like a regular pointer for a presentation is lower power than that. So it's harmless, but it can penetrate through the skin and it's not going to interact with anything. But if you put a nanoparticle in the path, now we have something where the laser is activating the nanoparticle, and this nanoparticle will heat up based on science called resonance. And you guys know what resonance is when you hear music, when you hear like the concept of a dog's whistle, where you blow a dog's whistle and only the dog's ear can hear it, but not the human ear. So that's resonance. When you like hear people tuning pitchforks and things vibrating because of that frequency is aligned. So my nanoparticles start vibrating so fast, they get really hot and they kill what they're touching. But if we put the nanoparticles at the site of the tumor, they're already harmless, so they're not going to do anything just because they're at the tumor, at the site of the tumor. But when you shine the laser on them, everything in the laser path is invisible to the laser until it gets to the nanoparticle.
Wow.
And when it gets to the nanoparticles, it activates the nanoparticles, and they get so hot, they kill everything they're touching. And so I have a couple of different delivery mechanisms for putting the nanoparticles at the site of the tumor. And because it's not a chemical reaction, it's a physical thermal ablation, we're able to minimize and almost eliminate the side effects because it doesn't have to interact with the healthy cells. It can only target and kill the cancerous cells by design. So I designed it not to have the side effects of chemotherapy and radiation. And it's really a neat approach in the sense that, you know, I like to make sure all the details are taken into consideration. And like, I like calculus, I like the multivariable equations. And so I worked out a lot of the details to make sure that we're controlling for side effects. We're controlling for targeted therapy. We're controlling for local to the site of the tumor. And how do you get the nanoparticles where they need to be? And, you know, it's the idea, well, why can't you just put them in the tumor? So for some kinds of cancers, you can directly inject the nanoparticles in the tumor, and you can shine the laser on them, and you can get a local treatment without all of the side effects. I also have some other pipeline research where we can attach them to immunotherapy and inject them in the body, and they can circulate and go seek and find the tumor and attach to just the overexpressed biomarkers on the site of the tumor. And when you do that, you can still follow up with the same laser. And because the nanoparticles by themselves are harmless and the laser by itself is harmless, only where they both are present at the same time, when you shine the laser and it interacts with the nanoparticles, you get the kill effect where you want it and nowhere else.
Man, you make science fun. I want to say right now, hallelujah. This is awesome. Amen.
No, that's absolutely amazing, especially the way you described it. Like, I fully understood everything you were saying to
the
T.
passion, but you're smiling the whole time, and I'm just going, yes, this is awesome. This is awesome. That is something that I'm excited. That sounds so fantastic.
And it sounds so simple. Maybe you just made it sound simple. Time out. This is not simple, okay? Because even thinking about nanotechnology, like you will scare a lot of people with talking about nanotechnology right now. And just,
Yeah.
if you're a conspiracy theorist like me, like, you're gonna scare people like me, telling you're gonna put some little robots in my body.
They're not robots. They're more like little tiny marbles. They don't have any gadgets inside. They're not smart enough to do anything. They're like little marbles. Just
Okay.
really tiny marbles. So they're not robots. They're not alive. They can't attack your immune system. And actually, when the technology is finished, you just clear them out. Like the garbage men of the immune system come in and they clear them out.
Okay. That makes me feel better then.
Charleston's right there. I don't want any robots in my system. Yeah. I don't want anything like that. That's whoa. I got to know more. So now, okay, so you have all this stuff. Let's get into the funding. How can we help? How can we start? We talked about, I asked you this earlier, and Charleston's always giving me crap. Quit asking 17 questions in a row. Okay, so I'll ask you this one question first and say...
Always.
Let's go with that. Let's go back to the one question I asked you earlier. If you've been told by several colleagues and you've been told by several people that you've discussed this with, if you were white and a 40-year-old white female or male, you would have the funding already. But because you're not, you don't have the funding. So let's get into that and how we can start to be able to fund and work with you, because this is the first interview in Canada that we are doing, right? So let's start.
We need to be heard all across Canada. Canada people, they do support, whether it don't matter where you're from or what background you come from, they do support their kind, and especially if you're doing great things throughout the world like that, man, they will come flying.
So let's educate. Let's talk about that right now.
Yes, so thank you for that. So, I have been told that if I were a white person that I would have more funding than I know what to do with. Meanwhile, as an African American female, it doesn't matter how many credentials I have, how many awards I win. It's still never enough. I'm always met with skepticism, never the benefit of the doubt. And, I'm very grateful to be in this position, but I appreciate when people ask, how can they help? The biggest thing is we need help with funding and marketing, getting the word out. And right now we're in the position where the technology is ready. It's sitting on the shelf while we raise money. So we have our website. Can you guys put it on the screen?
Yep.
Maybe?
Yep.
Okay. And so you can go to auralee.org, and I think in Canada you can just hit the donate button. But if not, we have our drop-down menu and we have non-US donations. And you can go there if you're outside of the United States and you can donate, and it'll take anywhere in the world. You can donate from the non-US donations button on our drop-down menu from auralee.org. Also, and this may be easier for you guys, on Facebook, you can just go and donate on Facebook. You can start a fundraiser on Facebook. And a lot of people are donating their birthdays to the Aura Lee Smith Cancer Research Foundation. And people always get me confused and say, oh, you're Aura Lee. Aura Lee is my aunt who raised me and I lost to cancer. So I named the foundation after her. Aura Lee Smith Cancer Research Foundation is the nonprofit. And you can donate on Facebook, donate your birthday on Facebook. When you go live on Facebook or go live on Instagram, there's a button where you can raise money for a cause. And the Aura Lee Smith Cancer Research Foundation is one of those charities. Also, when you shop on Amazon, you guys have Amazon.ca in Canada?
You betcha.
There you go.
Yes. So when you shop, Amazon will donate a percentage of your purchase price to the Aura Lee Foundation without charging you extra. So I'm really excited about that. And I would invite everyone to follow us on social media at Dr. Hadia Green and at auralee.org. So those are some easy ways that anyone can help. And on our website, you can set up a fundraising page and become a fundraiser, which is also something that's really awesome.
Yeah, that's amazing. And now I've heard also about how you really love the fact that you've had people in businesses, smaller businesses or bigger businesses, donate up to $30,000, but also as little. You've seen people donate as much as $2.25 a pay period.
Yes.
Every
Yes.
little bit helps, right?
Yes. And let me say this. I don't take a salary from any donations at all. I have a day job and I actually donate the honorariums for my speaking engagements to cover operational costs. So when people donate to the Aura Lee Foundation, 100% of your donation will go towards the cause of translating the technology, not to overhead, not to salaries, not to cushionies, to pad the operation budget. The donation will go to translate the technology into humans, period. That was one of the pet peeves I had. I know Charleston saying he's a conspiracy theorist.
Yeah. He's going, where's this money going? Where's the money going?
Come on. You got to clear.
Yes. And I have that gene in me a little bit. And that was part of why I said, you know what? Instead of me trying to go ask these people in these other organizations who may not even be trying to cure cancer, let me start my own where I can determine our destiny and I can know where the money's going and where it's not going. And I don't have to worry about other people saying, well, you can just do this and you can just do that. No, I know what's happening. My word is on this. And we have a whole team of volunteers and people are welcome to volunteer at auralee.org/volunteer to help us with anything from marketing, media, graphic design, writing newsletters and helping with social media posts, anything, helping raise the brand and getting more interviews like this. So if you want to volunteer, you can go to auralee.org. But our whole team are people who lost a loved one to cancer, a child, a parent, a spouse, a sibling. Some of them are cancer survivors, and they are all here for the same mission because they believe in there is a better way. We have a better way, and we can do something about how cancer is being treated now and usher in the next generation and a new revolution in the cancer industry. So we're on the verge of this cancer revolution, and our team, including all of you, if you join our journey, can help us revolutionize the way cancer is treated and keep it affordable and accessible for all. That's part of our mission. That's part of our vision. That is our commitment.
Amen.
I'm sold.
I love it. Yeah. I'm going to go another hallelujah. Let's do this. That is amazing. So, Dr. Green, thank you. Thank you so much for being on the show. Thank you for your patience with us, for our technical difficulties.
My pleasure. No, thank you guys for your patience with me and my technical difficulties. I'm so grateful every time someone says that they will help or ask how they can help, because this was so much bigger than anything I could have ever imagined, coming from the little girl who used to cry about, why don't I have a mommy? And to see what God has done with my life and to see what is being done with the foundation and with this movement through me, I'm very humble about I'm just a vessel. And I know, to me, this is my ministry. This is the Lord's work. And I'm not trying to get religious for people who are not, because whether you're religious or not, cancer doesn't care. Black, white, green, blue, purple, cancer doesn't care. Rich or poor, cancer doesn't care. How much money you have, how much money you don't have. So this is something that's bigger than all of us. It's bigger than me. And I know it's something that wasn't meant for me to do by myself. And people who may never see the inside of a laboratory personally have an opportunity to make history and to be part of this as a charter donor, a charter member of this journey, to say as part of their legacy, it's like the equivalent in science of walking with Dr. King and John Lewis in a march, to say, I'm part of this. And this is something that's available to you guys to be part of this and take ownership and say, I'm walking with Dr. Green and the Aura Lee Foundation. I'm part of Team Aura Lee. I invite you guys to adopt the Aura Lee Smith Cancer Research Foundation as your charity of choice. You, Johan, you, Charleston, and everyone who hears this interview, I want you guys to adopt us as your charity of choice and help us make this happen.
Let's do it. I know that Charleston and I got nothing but smiles, and we're going to be working with you.
Yeah, I wish you all the success. I want it to happen. I want this to be breakthrough.
We are going to do our best here in Canada. We're going to do our best to be able to come and work with you, Dr. Green. So thank you for everything.
Especially because it has to pay off. I mean, you dedicated a lot of your life to this since the age of 22, and all the things that you went through at that time. So it has to be something that has to come through. It has to happen. And you know what? We're going to help you get there.
You betcha.
Thank you.
You betcha.
Thank you.
We wanted to touch base quickly on, you have a run coming up in September?
Yes, we have a run coming up in September, and right now we are looking for race sponsors at auralead.org/race sponsor. We're looking for sponsors for the race, and the sponsorships start at $2,500 and go up from there. And we are excited about this being a virtual walk, and we want to set up teams in all the major cities. Wherever you are, you can have a team and be a team captain. We're excited about getting this race off the ground and really making it something where people can walk, run, bike, Zumba, whatever. It's a movement, and the movement is symbolic of what this is. It's a movement. It's not just an opportunity to donate. It's a movement. And so the name of the race is Let's Move Beyond Hope with the Cure.
Yeah, I like that.
I like that.
Well, you got Team Regina here.
We got Team Regina. We definitely gonna get our camera guy Reese. We gonna get him out there.
I gotta start training now if this is gonna be a real Let's Move. So I like that. We got lots of time to be able to start to move and get in shape. So let's do that. You got us 100% behind you, Doctor. Thank you so much for your time. It's been an absolute pleasure. We are gonna get you back on again. I know that.
Yeah, this is just part one, man.
We want to know how Canada's working with you. How is Sag Nasty working with you? We want to know our viewers from all across North America are going to be working with you from now on. So really, it has been our absolute pleasure. And one of the things how we always finish off our show is that.
Before you finish, may I say one more thing?
You betcha.
I just want to say thank you to Dr. Borsico for putting this together, and all of the Team Orly volunteers for all of the hard work you guys are doing. And I want to thank each and every person who has already donated. We've broken a record. Before us, there were only 12 other African Americans to raise $2 million or more for a tech startup. Even though we're a nonprofit, we're still a tech startup, and we have reached the $2 million mark in our fundraising. And that's with small donations, no corporate sponsors, no celebrities, no athletes, just individuals doing a little bit at a time. And that is huge. And I'm so humbled. I'm so grateful. We have 8 million more to go in our $10 million fundraising goal to begin human trials. And it may seem like it's not a lot, but those Facebook birthday donations and the monthly donations, even the $2 and $3 and $5 here and there, it adds up and it makes such a big difference. So I just want to say thank you to each and every donor, because people think because we haven't gotten to our goal yet that nobody's supporting, and we're in the middle. We're somewhere in the middle. We're on the way. We have people supporting, and I just want to make sure that I'm careful to acknowledge them and say thank you, because they have already been here on the ground building us up to this point, and that is very significant what we've been able to do already.
That's amazing.
So thank you.
Congratulations on that. I'll let
Charles. Shout out to the volunteers out there. You know what? I love y'all. Keep donating.
I love you.
No, that is awesome. You got an amazing story, and we like I said, this is part one. We're definitely gonna have you on again. To talk about the race, or we'll talk about the race before the race, because you're going to be on a race for a real long time, trying to get this cancer stuff going and stuff like that. But this is the Better with Age webcast. The reason we call it the Better with Age webcast is because there's many things that get better with age. There's wine, there's whiskey, there's technology that keeps advancing over time that you keep creating that gets better. Oh, yes, and there's your beautiful smile and face. It always gets better. But the most important thing of them all is friendships. And now that you've been on the Better with Age webcast show, you're one of me and Johan's friends, and we're going to support you all the way.
For life. You know that phrase.
For life.
Doctor, it's truly been a pleasure. Thank you. Good luck with everything. And everybody that's watching, we'll let you know how to be able to go out and support you. Thank you for everything, Doctor, and take care.
Thank you, Johan. Thank you, Charleston. It's my pleasure. Thank you so much.
Yes, he been the SAG nasty.